even says it right there. It says Big Ants Gaming. Right there.
Look at
This is literally the first time I've been on
Who would've thought?
Spotify. All right, y'all been up there multiple times. This is
I
the
don't
first
think I've been
time.
on.
I don't think I've ever
been on
I've
Spotify before.
I've been a guest on multiple podcasts that are on Spotify. Yeah, I have. Okay, fair.
See, so I haven't.
All right. Well, welcome to the big leagues. Also, welcome everyone to week 12, episode 12 of the regular season. As always, I'm your host, Nelstar15, joined by Anthony and Nate. Gentlemen, how was your Thanksgiving? Nate, what'd you do?
It was great. I didn't really get up to a whole lot. Family's a couple thousand miles away, so watched football. We had some chicken wings, just kind of chilled, had beers. It was a nice, pleasant day. It was a nice, pleasant Thanksgiving, and watched some football, of course, as always.
Very nice. How about you, Anthony?
It was great. I worked in the morning, came home to an amazing, Thanksgiving dinner. Shout out to my wife for that. I appreciate it. Watched some football, and then on Sunday, y'all know what happened.
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I'm wearing black like I'm going to a funeral. Thanksgiving was great. I didn't do anything. I played video games all weekend and watched football and watched the entirety of college football implode on itself. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it. I know this is an NFL podcast, but there is a bullet point that's going to let us talk about college football. But as always, we'll hop right into the podcast. Fantasy football. Just want to mention, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I'm the only person in our league, the Rare Drop Sports Fantasy League, that has clinched a spot in the playoffs. Just saying. Also won again.
I saw them tweeting about that as well. Congratulations, sir. You've earned it.
They look very angry in those tweets. You can just read the anger coming out of
You're kicking their butts, right?
Yeah, I have one loss. I'm 10-1. So
okay.
You know you're gonna lose in the first round, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That's how it goes.
I'm totally rocking Nick Folk, my kicker, and Cordarrelle Patterson and Josh Allen all the way to the championship. Those three players combined for almost 75 points this week. It was hilarious. But it was a great win overall, besides the fact that Dante Smith and who's my other receiver? I don't even know who I started. Put up a total of 5 points. Yet I still scored 100 points. So it tells you how the rest of my team is kind of set up. I'm doing all this. So, CMC fans want to sit here and complain that he's a glass cannon. I haven't had Alvin Kamara for 3 weeks now. And somehow I'm still doing great. Thanks, James Robinson and Cordarrelle Patterson. Though Cordarrelle Patterson, he's great. We're going to talk about it in a second. You can play him as a receiver and a running back.
And I lost Derrick Henry, and I've been doing just fine. Well, I've started to become doing just fine. We'll find out, maybe not when we get there.
We'll get there. But let's talk about
you can
those
do
top
it.
players.
You can do it without the main guy.
You can.
I lost by 40.
And we got.
How did that come from? I'm sorry.
Are you okay?
Go ahead. God.
Hopping into the top players of the week. A couple players we didn't expect to see here.
I hate football.
No, you.
I'm so sorry.
I just want to give you a hug, man. I just want to give you a hug.
We're going to get into it. But Cordarrelle Patterson coming on top in that wide receiver running back slot with 108 yards rushing, 2 TDs, as well as 2 catches for 27 yards. I'm just going to say this. In about week 3, both Nate and Anthony said to avoid Cordarrelle Patterson like the plague. And I did the exact opposite of that. And I'd like to say that I'm 10-1 in fantasy football, and they are not. So,
hey, you know what? Every dog has his day. Cordarrelle Patterson finally has a good season of football. I'm happy for him. If I had, because the truth is, had I actually given him another chance and let him into my heart one more time, he would have sucked eggs this year. He wouldn't be 10-1. So I'm actually going to vicariously take that dub through you.
Perfect. We're going to keep it in the South with Leonard Fournette for Tampa, chalking up 100 yards, 3 TDs, and then 7 catches for 31 yards, another TD. A 4 TD performance for Leonard Fournette. Just following the wake of Austin Eckler and Jonathan Taylor from last week. It's like we can't have a normal week with running backs. Someone's got to outdo everybody else, apparently. This week it was Leonard Fournette, unfortunately, against the Colts. Colts can take a bad beat because of Fournette. And then a receiver we haven't talked much about in fantasy football, Jalen Waddle, putting up 9 catches for 137 yards and a touchdown, putting him in the top 5 of receivers for the week. If not
Waddle,
top 3, I think.
Waddle.
Waddle playing well out of that slot and making Dante making Jackson look like his absolute bitch. A couple surprises though this week, as you know, Waddle, Fournette, and Cordell Patterson have been, if not consistent, all season. They have put up consistent starting numbers. Players that didn't that didn't and have done different things this week. So Lamar Jackson. What a rough game for Lamar Jackson. 165 yards, 1 touchdown, and 4 interceptions. Lamar Jackson throwing more picks than Cam Newton and P.J. Walker combined. And that's saying something because Cam Newton and P.J. Walker thought the Miami Dolphins blue was the Carolina blue on Sunday and threw the ball to the wrong team. And then keeping it with Miami, who just had balled out and had a great game. Miami's defense putting up at least 30 points in most leagues with 3 interceptions, 5 sacks, a blocked punt, and a touchdown. So if you had Miami Z and you've been rocking them on a 4 or 5 game win streak at this point, you are really, really, really benefiting from that one. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows in fantasy football. Players get hurt.
It's not.
People lose a lot, like Anthony. And by a lot, I mean in 3 leagues, by 40 points almost every week. And you gotta find those players that you pick up. Now, the thing is that there are names that we're putting on this pickup list every week that I've never even heard of at this point. We're so deep in running backs this year that there are names I'm like, oh crap, he's still in the league too. I was doing my research for the pickups, and I only put 2 players here because it's pretty. A lot of people have already been picked up because of the injuries across the league this season. So there's not a lot of people that you can kind of just go and scoop up for a week. I didn't know Rex Burkhead was still in the NFL.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's with the Texans.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
running
why.
it against us.
I just don't even, like, so there are players that I'm just like, you learn a lot of stuff.
There is a player we didn't put up there, though. Alexander Mattson.
Oh, I know. Mattson has been unavailable in most leagues since Dalvin Cook went down earlier in the season. That's why I didn't put him up here.
I mean, I need all the help possible. So I'm
yeah.
just looking.
But if you are looking for a running back, there's news that Jordan Howard for the Eagles is likely out another week. And with the Eagles being a run-heavy offense, it's a perfect time to pick up a running back like Boston Scott. He had 72 yards on 17 touches last week. I mean, that's enough for a flex position this late in the season with how thin things are getting. So if Boston Scott's available and you are jonesing for anyone to play, go ahead and grab Boston Scott, put him in there. And then the other pickup, God, I just have to talk about him. One of my favorite players in the NFL. He's making a bunch of money depending on what position they list him as. Taysom Hill is my pickup of the week. Taysom Hill is my quarterback pickup of the week, and the reason I say that, it does look like Sean Payton is trending towards starting Taysom Hill this coming week against the Cowboys. And
I like that.
The thing is that in many leagues, or depending on how your league is set up, Taysom Hill might also be listed as a tight end. So theoretically, you could pick up Taysom Hill and run 2 quarterbacks in the same week, depending on how your league is set up. I know for a lot of leagues they did change it and say that he's not a tight end any longer. So that's up to your league's discretion. But if you want to throw a Kyler Murray-esque Hail Mary and pray to all that is holy and all that you believe in that DeAndre Hopkins is down there to catch it, Taysom Hill's my pickup for you for that quarterback spot.
Let me see.
Okay, we're gonna look. But that's a quick rundown of fantasy football. I didn't want to take too much this week. We're getting into that point of the point of the season where I would love to just hear what you guys are asking about, like who you think you should start, who you should sit. We can answer that. So if you have those questions, make sure to hit us up on Twitter, either at Rare Drop Sports or at any of our handles. And we can address those next week because we are getting into playoff contention and playoff season for fantasy football. Speaking of playoffs, Nate, how'd your fantasy week go, sir? Are we inching closer to the playoffs? Are you the Falcons? You about to sneak in?
You know, there's an opportunity. There is a window. If I can keep this hot streak I'm on going, there is a window. I think I can't really afford to lose. I'd like to give a shout out this week to Ty Johnson and Devonta Smith, who each scored 4.20 points for me. Airhorn.mp3.
420.
Appreciate
Blaze
that.
it.
Yeah, they both got me 420. But the real champion was Lamar Jackson, who got me 9 points. And when all seems lost, don't worry, it's okay. I got Kyle Pitts, right? 4.6 points. But thank goodness that for somehow I got matched up against DeAndre Swift, Mike Evans, and George Kittle, who somehow put up less points than those three players, if you can believe it. And I had Joe Mixon, so I'm back in the dub column. I'm pushing onward. I made it happen. I put Ty Johnson in because Michael Carter got hurt too, and I got all these injured running backs on my bench. So I don't know what to do with. And there you go. Well, apparently he's better than DeAndre Swift, so I'm happy with how this week went for me in fantasy.
Don't worry,
It's
all
an
these
emotional
injured
roller coaster.
all these injured running backs, I feel you. I've dropped all of them. I think I have waiver claims to get rid of Michael Carter. I had Dan Arnold too. I had 2 players go on the IR in the same week.
I'm so sorry.
You're still 10-1. I don't feel bad.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
might be
it's true.
rocking. I might be heading into the playoffs with no tight end. So we'll see how this rocks out. It's all good. Anywho, we had a fun week of football. So let's hop right into the weekly recap. Let's just start off with what happened on Monday night. Washington football team takes down Seattle. And now this is a story of 2 teams. And I mean, not like one team showing 2 different sides. You have a surging Washington football team who's likely going to take the NFC East against the fall of Troy for Seattle, just absolutely falling apart. Russell Wilson has never looked so bad. Granted, they had to start Geno Smith for 3 games. If you're a fan of the Seattle Seahawks, are you, Anthony, right now, are you worried that you might lose your Hall of Fame quarterback and your coach in the offseason?
That might be a good thing. I think it might be time. Russ doesn't seem too enthused anymore. I think that'd be good for him to move on. God knows if Pete Carroll is going to go back and coach college football. It sounds, more and more enticing every time. Keep on losing. Get yourself a good draft pick. If you have a good first round pick. But yeah, it might just be time. Might be time to just gut the whole thing and restart it again.
I mean, I don't agree with the mentality that we see in chat right now that Russell's showing his age. He's 33 years old. Tom Brady is 42 or 44. Let's calm down. Russell's not showing his age. I think he's behind a depleted offensive line and is having he's also coming off of an injury. He still did have midseason surgery.
Did he force himself back in too early?
I think he did.
Because that creates the biggest problem, because I want to believe that Russ that's what happened, that he just came in too early. But at the same time, it's the first time the team's been in shape like this, even with the injury. I mean, it's not like Geno Smith didn't win a game or 2. I don't remember, but yeah, like he came in and they should have had plenty of opportunities, but it's with the rest of the talent on that offense, it's mind-boggling.
I'm not gonna accept the argument that it's because Russell Wilson's getting old. I don't think we're in that stage of his career yet. He hasn't had enough injuries to knock him down. If we were talking about like Cam, and like even as excited as I am about Cam being back with the Panthers and all the jazz, Cam's showing his age. He's been injured a lot, and like you see that with Cam, but I don't think you see that with Russ. I think this is Seattle not clicking. I think this is Russell coming back way too early. And I think Pete Carroll's just showing his true colors. And that whenever he doesn't have a stacked team, he doesn't know how to coach a team.
This team has been hanging on by a thread. The offensive line, this is not the first year they sucked. They've been sucking for the last few years. Russell Wilson just been running around making the plays for them. Yeah. But it's finally just coming to like a perfect time to just blow it up and start again. Pete Carroll is not bad. He's a good coach. There's a lot of coaches out there that shouldn't be head coaches. I'm looking right at the New York Giants football team. But I think they just need to either you need to go all in, add a lot of fat guys on the offensive line, or get rid of everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to just see Seattle. I mean, what they don't have a first round pick this year, right? Because of Jamal Adams, right?
Nope.
Yeah,
the Jets have number 4 and 5 right now.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into that, but I'd like to see Seattle do something in the offseason. Again, I don't think Russ is. I don't agree with what Moss fan's saying in the chat. Like, this is all a product of not having a good offensive line. He's making bad decisions because he has to. It's either that or die.
We'll give him Mike White from Metcalf. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, sweet.
Hey, Mike,
But I mean, on the other
White
side
right
of the
there.
ball of this game, let's talk about it. Washington football team surging right now. Now, obviously, that win against Carolina they have isn't looking as good as everyone thought it was going to be with Cam coming back. But they did take down a Tampa Bay team that is back in the dub column with a very demanding and emphatic win. I mean, Nate, Washington football team, Ron Rivera is a good coach at the latter half of the season, and I think it's showing here. Washington football team pushing for NFC East. Is that what we're seeing here?
Yeah, well, look, Washington it's the same thing for me as the couple of wins that the Texans had earlier, except Washington's doing pretty decently, all things considered. They're constantly underestimated. There's not enough flashiness on the team to get people's attention on them. It's like being Derek Carr. No matter how good you are, nobody cares because you just act like a normal dude when you're not playing the game. So I think for Washington, they've kind of been slipping under the radar. The coaching has to be what's doing it. Like the fundamentals and everything just seem to be really good across the board. Obviously, for Seattle's sake, I don't know. I don't know how to answer their problems, but I weirdly enough, I like them. I still think this is the Eagles' division, but I'm also incredibly biased. So just ignore everything I'm saying.
Yeah.
like you said, Rivera is a great coach, though. Second team. He's been doing it with.
And they got a weapon back, too. Curtis Samuel's back in the fray. They have that hybrid player in Curtis Samuel who everyone thought him and Terry McLaurin together were going to do some things. So and good thing is Curtis Samuel's already got that chemistry with Taylor Heineke for their time together in Charlotte. So I'm excited to see what Washington football team pulls out. I mean, mainly because I predicted them to win the division. Just saying. With 10 wins.
I think every week, I know I come up here and I trash the Cowboys, but I said this 2 weeks ago. I said it now. I'm saying it now. They always find a way to blow this beautiful season. They started off 7-1, 6-2, or something like that. They started so well. Dak is back throwing the ball. The Cowboys fans came back out of nowhere yelling, "We them boys, Super Bowl champion." They said that shit during the preseason. They said, "We're going to the Super Bowl and we're undefeated in the preseason." They said all this. Look what's happening now. It's unfortunately the game next week. They're going to be without 10 of their 8. I think it's up to 8 players and coaches for COVID. But that's really unfortunate. But they haven't played good football anyway. You can't rely on Diggs to get an interception, get 20 interceptions.
You can't rely on Micah Parsons either. You can't rely on 2 people to make the game, right? I agree.
That's true.
You can't. So it's a perfect storm for Washington to take this division. And man, if they do,
I think what's wild about this is that everyone looked at Washington whenever good old Fitzmagic went down. They're like, well, that's the end of this team because who do you have next? It's Taylor Heineke. How long is it going to be till Ron Rivera signs Cam Newton? Is what everyone was talking about. When are we getting Cam Newton? When's the reunion going to happen? And it never did. And I think that's a testament to Ron Rivera being a stubborn mofo. And I saw that for the better part of a decade in Carolina. He was stubborn AF. He never wants to change his ways. But also, it's the faith in having it, or it's the byproduct of having faith in a quarterback that knows your system. Taylor Heineke is never going to be amazing, but he doesn't have to be amazing with the run game that they have. Doesn't. And whenever their entire defensive line is not hurt or on the IR, Washington's got a stout front 7 that compete with most of the best in the league. So I think a lot of us have underestimated what Washington can do, and now we're seeing them kind of pick themselves up off the ground and put their shit back together and push here for the playoffs and see if they can make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah,
He's crazy story. Hell of a story if they make it in, and if they win any games, then we're in like weird history territory. It would be a pretty legendary run for them to make, considering everything going against them.
Can you imagine they beat like Tampa Bay in the first round? Can you imagine? Like,
they already beat them once.
That show we would have afterwards. I'm gonna lose my mind.
I'd have to show up here with some champagne.
I know. Speaking of teams,
Tom Brady losing in the playoffs. That's what I fantasize about.
We'll get to Tom Brady. We're going to spend about 30 seconds on him. Speaking of teams on a roll and Anthony popping champagne, the Dolphins coming up on a win streak now. This is officially a win streak. Absolutely destroy the Panthers on the defensive side of the ball. We already talked, putting up those numbers. 3 picks, 5 sacks, a block punt, and a TD. Dolphins looking like they might actually do some damage now that they've committed to Tua and stop letting shit distract them. Let's talk about it. Tua's 100+ passer rating in 5 out of his last 6 games. Like, Tua looks like the Tua they wanted when they drafted him. Anthony, this is your team. The Dolphins are primed and poised to make a run for a wild card spot right now because we know New England's going to win that division. So the Dolphins, are we pretenders or are we contenders?
So this is what
because all you did beat the Panthers. They're not that great.
They do this to me a lot. First of all, let me just talk about Tua real quick. This is the product of letting Tua play more games. The more games he plays, the more comfortable he is, the better he's going to be. This is going to be a tough decision in the offseason if you're going to keep going with Deshaun Watson, or you're actually just going to build around Tua. Like, if he comes out and he keeps on playing like this for the rest of the time and somehow makes it into the playoffs, and it wasn't the help of Fitzpatrick, it's gonna be some decisions that have to be made in the offseason because we do have 2 first-round picks. We can package those to move up. I know the Jets don't really care about having back-to-back picks early. Maybe they can get more draft capital. Mm-hmm. There might be something like an offensive lineman that we can take or a star receiver to pair with Waddle. Tua is playing absolutely fantastic. He did this in Alabama. He's really accurate with the ball, and he's throwing the ball down the field too. So that's really good. Now, the schedule going forward for Miami, we have the Giants, bye week, the Jets, the Saints, the Titans, and then we end on the Patriots.
Okay, well, the Saints and the Titans, those are easy wins.
I don't want to say easy.
Yeah.
It is easier for the Saints because the MVP is not there, and it would have been different if the MVP was there. Jameis Winston.
That's a very good point. This is very true, by the way. There's no way they'd beat the Saints if they had Jameis Winston.
Stop inflating his ego.
Jameis would have solidified his MVP against Miami.
I just speak the truth.
No, okay. So before we get into the schedule, let's talk. Okay, so you have these harder games coming up, and it's getting colder. You picked up Philip Lindsay literally last week, and the dude had 12 carries for 42 yards after being on the team for 3 years. How much playing time is he going to get? Because obviously he almost got as many carries as Myles Gaskin. Like, is this a 2-headed running attack now? And this takes a lot of pressure off Tua too, doesn't it?
It does. What we're seeing is now when we're inside the 15, the red zone, we're going into that traditional wildcat again, which is very interesting. You got Waddle going over to the slot, like in motion. Gaskin is taking the ball. Philip Lindsay was under center, like the traditional running back, and he did the chunk of the yards, and the Gaskin came in towards the wildcat. This is a good setup for Miami. Like, it's keeping people on their toes with that wildcat because Jalen Waddle can literally do that jet sweep, or Gaskin can run it in. Philip Lindsay, I do want to see more touches from him, but that's promising right there. All this, a good running game relieves your quarterback. This is what we talked about with Tennessee earlier in the year when they had Derrick Henry. Tannehill looked fantastic, but he was behind Derrick Henry. Now you look at Tannehill, he's garbage.
He looks like a wide receiver from Texas A&M.
We knew this. Like I saw him in Miami. So a better running game. It is getting cold. We do got some more Miami games coming. But we can't sleep on the last 5 games. But if we can make a run, we win all 5 of our games out, we're going to clinch a playoff spot, and I'm going to cry on stream.
Okay. All right. You heard it first. He's going to cry. On the other side of that ball, though, Carolina. Nate, let's talk about this. I mean, I know it's my team, but I don't want to dominate all the conversation. So Carolina, Cam Newton goes 5 for 21, throws 2 picks. Only carries the ball 3 times, but he had 5 yards and a TD. McCaffrey's out again on the IR. Dante Jackson's on the IR. Carolina depleted. Is this the end of the season for Carolina? Are they? Do you think this is the point where they kind of just pack their bags and go to the top 10 of the draft?
It hurts because there were a lot of guys I was really excited about on this team. We don't compete with the Panthers. I do believe that. I wanted to see Darnold go there, be happy and all this shit, but so much has happened to this team this year. I feel bad talking about it because I know you care, and I don't want to be mean, but especially with CMC being out, like your only option is for Cam to like literally just go Superman again and put the team on his back and just hope that Robbie Anderson stops dropping balls. But then it's just those 2. And I don't hate the rest of the gang. I don't hate the rest of the outfit. But when I think about star power potential for winning games, like maybe I see them maybe picking up a couple more through the rest of the season. But I feel like they've got way too much stuff that's happened at the quarterback position to expect much more than this. And CMC getting hurt is just the icing on the shit cake, as it were.
I will be excited to see what Chuba Hubbard can do now that this is his team as a running back. I mean, we saw him kind of perform when CMC was out. And I mean, let's not deny the fact that Chuba Hubbard, 2 years ago had over 2,000 yards rushing for Oklahoma State. Like he's still a good running back. So I'm interested to see what he can do there. But I think the biggest things to address for Carolina is what's going on with your offensive line. Let's talk about that. So Carolina puts in Dennis Daly at left tackle, who is a journeyman backup offensive lineman. He doesn't even have a position. He's played them all. And they start him at left tackle, where last week against Washington, they started Brady Christensen, their 3rd-round pick out of BYU. Brady Christensen's the highest-rated left tackle in the league that week. Then for some reason, Matt Rule and company decide, hey, we're going to shift Brady Christensen to left guard. So I think this is less to do with what's going on the field and more to do what's going on in the heads of Matt Rule and Joe Brady and Phil Snow. I think this is more of a coaching issue, and we're going to get into it in a little bit, but I think that Matt Rule is finally showing that he's in over his head in the NFL, and that the personnel decisions he's making just don't work. So I think we'll see what happens with Carolina as time goes on, but I think this is more of a coaching issue than a talent issue.
You know what would fix Carolina? Jameis.
What, is he just going to hit all 4 NFC South teams before he retires?
He would lift your team to the next level.
He's not better than Cam Newton.
MVP style play that he does.
Cam Newton's already an MVP.
But he's not Jameis MVP.
Okay, he's better than Jameis MVP because Jameis MVP is not a thing. He didn't win it.
He was.
Anywho, moving on to quarterbacks that are actually looking good. Aaron Rodgers and the Pack take down the Rams. Let's just talk about it. Listen, COVID toe or not.
You guys were right last week when we talked about this, by the way. I just want to admit that I'm willing to own that I was wrong on this big time.
Yeah, I mean, but God dang, what is going on in Green Bay? What are they drinking? This team, they're winning the Super Bowl. I'm just going to say it right now.
This is a villain team. This is a team that probably they're going to hate because of Aaron Rodgers. And I watched the game, and I'm like, holy crap, he's going to win the Super Bowl. And it's like the last player you want to see. I'd rather see Brady because, Brady's been fine this season than to see Aaron Rodgers and his cocky self win the Super Bowl. I'm going to laugh. But, man, they're playing lights out. The Adams-Rodgers connection is beautiful. Their defense is stepping up. Their secondary is balling out. They just made Matt Stafford look like him in Detroit. They're They're gonna win.
It's wild, and Nate, you did say you were a little wrong here. Like we all kind of predicted it, except for you. Like I hate this. I hate this so much because Aaron Rodgers is a raging piece of crap right now, right? Like he's this villain that's kind of taking over the league, and you're right, like they I wouldn't say they made Matt Stafford look bad. He still had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. I mean, throwing an interception, yeah, that makes him look like he's back in Detroit. But Green Bay, like even with Aaron Jones getting limited reps as he's eased back into the roster, and they're going with A.J. Dillon, like this team just looks like if someone goes down, there's someone else to pick it up. We had a Randall Cobb sighting, 4 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Like what in tarnation's going on in Green Bay, Nate? Are they the favorites to win the Super Bowl at this point?
You know what? I think the reality is that Aaron Rodgers is like a reverse. You know what I mean? It's like his power level is equal to it's equal to the amount of hatred he receives. That's the way that it goes. Now that this team has gotten enough drama and enough BS through and all this stuff, the guy's just running on pure hate and he's playing incredibly well. I don't know. I guess they are. Because the wind, you called it that the wind was coming out of the sails on the Rams, and I'm like, nah, this is gonna be a bounce back game. Just a couple of adjustments they're still doing, but I guess bringing OBJ in was not going to help with whatever situation they had, and somehow it is getting worse. But I don't think anybody else is offensively as consistent. And assuming Rodgers stays healthy, just that guy can just ball out no matter what, any random day. That's why they are where they are.
That's wild. I mean, we did have an OBJ signing, 5 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown. Does look like he's kind of finding his place in this Rams offense, and maybe once they figure that out, they can. But I think the Rams' biggest problem right now is they have no running game. Like, if we're being honest, like Henderson, sure, 16 carries for 55 yards, but whenever your longest runs are all 7 yards, that's and you're not committed to those. You're not committed to those running backs. And you're putting everything on Matt Stafford, who has had his entire career put on his back by the team that he's with for all that. I think the Rams are starting to see all that. It's funny because Von Miller, whenever he got traded, said I went to sleep 4-4 and I woke up 7-1. Well, you're 0-3 since you've been there, boys. So hopefully the Rams can turn it around. Speaking of teams that back in the dub column, the Bucks taking down the Colts, and what ended up being a fun game. I don't know if y'all had a chance to watch this game, but I had a blast watching this game. This was just like, I didn't know what to expect. Do I wish Carson Wentz had completed more passes and didn't have 2 picks? Yes. But, Anthony, did you get a chance to watch this game? What do you got to say about Tom Brady and the Bucks back in the dub column thanks to Leonard Fournette and Rob Gronkowski?
It's still sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's not like I'm concerned, but they were a better football team than the Colts, and it's just something is not. It might be they're missing Antonio Brown. Gronkowski was back, and you could tell because he fed him the ball as much as he can. What's promising with the Bucks is Fournette. I haven't seen this type of Fournette since the Jacksonville Jaguar days. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's something we can hold on to. Maybe they're gonna be a running team down the stretch, but it is kind of concerning. Now, on the other end, the Colts, they're a good team. They are fundamentally sound on defense. They got the future MVP at running back, and all Carson Wentz have to do is not throw a pick.
That's all you gotta do.
Play safe football, and you will be at the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Nate, we're going to get your opinion on this, but I think the Colts, and I put it here, they're a deep playoff team. The Colts can, if they get into the playoffs, they can make a run to that AFC Championship game. I think they have all the pieces they need. Their offensive line looks good. It's all a matter of limiting turnovers. If Carson Wentz can stop giving away every throw that he's about to make whenever he's making them, then this team would be on the opposite side of where they are now. They would probably have 2-3 more wins, and they wouldn't be sitting there at 500. But Nate, what do you think? How do you feel about the Colts moving forward? Is this a team that you're going to hedge your bets on? You think they're going to? Well, obviously they're making the playoffs because the only competition they have in their division is the Titans, and well, we know how that's going.
Yeah, I think that they're definitely primed for a little bit of a playoff mover here, and I'll be honest, I kind of like them. I think that Wentz is a bit better than people give him credit for. I wasn't like crazy on the anti-Wentz train. Some of the injury stuff I think has a pretty big deal to do with it too. Is Hilton going to be able to come in and actually get it done? I think if he's there, then that's huge. He's an incredible weapon. The Bucks Colts game, like Anthony said, super messy. I did get to see a good bit of it. But I gotta say, big shout out. Love the tenacity on Leonard Fournette. Like some of those runs towards the end of the game were some real tough ones. You could tell that he was hungry for that win. I think the only reason that Bucks ended up winning that game is because Fournette just went to his own little rage mode at the end. Was a fun finale to watch.
Heck yeah, I'm excited to see what the Colts do. But speaking of,
I believe.
Yeah. Speaking of teams that might sneak their way into the playoffs, the Falcons take down the Jags, and now I know this normally wouldn't be that much of a conversation to be had, but the fact that this win actually puts the Falcons back into the playoff picture. The Falcons quietly on the backs of Kyle Pitts and Cordarrelle Patterson are making a push for the playoffs. How serious of a contender are they, though, Anthony? Is this a team that could end up being a wild card team and possibly a spoiler in the wild card weekend?
Well, it looks like nobody wants to win in the NFC, so I don't see why not. It's all about runs, and they are hot right now, and they could streak in. They could. Mm-hmm. I could see like Dallas falling out of the wild card spot, and maybe somebody like Atlanta. It's going to be a very interesting next few weeks, especially when like the playoff is shaping. But yeah, they're still in it. They're balling right now. Cordarrelle Patterson. Yes, I didn't believe in him. I still don't believe in him. But he's balling out right now. So
yeah. What do you think, Nate? You have any faith in the Falcons moving forward? The Falcons? Matty Ice?
Cordarrelle Patterson is a very interesting player. I don't know that he's going to be able to completely carry the team. However, I did just see a headline that says the Falcons have him listed as running back, kickoff return, and apparently now safety is on their depth chart as well.
Oh, fun.
So if you have Falcons defense, Cordarrelle Patterson is now, you have him technically, I guess, for a couple plays maybe. I don't know. I don't like the Falcons. I think they kind of exist to just be the butt of 28-3 jokes. And I don't think that they're necessarily bad. I've heard their concession stand prices are very reasonable. They seem to care about their fans, but they're cursed. They got hit with butt fumble level magic, and now they have to live with it. And that's just the way it is for a while.
All right. That being said, that's the end of our weekly recap. Take us into our injury report. Y'all, I hate to say it. Danny Dimes is injured.
The game of football became more boring today.
Yeah. And hey, he's got a neck strain, and his official status, according to Joe Judge, is iffy.
I don't think he wants to play.
No, Mike Glennon is going to start for the Giants. Now, obviously, the Giants are in trash can territory, but Anthony, how bad does this make the Giants, or worse does this make the Giants than they already were, now that Mike Glennon is starting for them?
He is starting for them against the Dolphins. I am A-okay.
Okay.
Well, you seem happy. It's a good move, right?
Yeah, it's a fantastic move. I think this is good. Let Danny Dimes heal. It's not neck injuries are never. Let him heal. Let him sit down. And Mike Glennon, he's been in the league, so yeah.
I feel like your concern for Danny Dimes is not true. It's not pure.
It's the neck strain. You ever had you never slept on the pillow on the wrong side and you got the crook in your neck?
Head for 2 days.
Yeah, you hurting, you gotta. Yeah, I'm really concerned for him. So
I feel like you're not good. Though. I feel like this is false concern.
No, not at all. I'm happy that he's doing the right thing. He's sitting, and yeah, good for him.
Okay. All right, that being said, Debo Samuel, another utility player we're seeing, wide receiver and running back at this point for the 49ers, out for 1 to 2 weeks with a groin strain. God, that just gotta hurt. That's gotta
Yeah.
hurt.
He's going up. He's putting himself up there. He's making some athletic plays. That's you hate to see that because those are the ones that linger, right? You got to be
Yeah.
really careful getting back on the field after one of those.
But so Nate, let's talk about this though. The 49ers winning 3 straight on the back of Debo Samuel. Does this take the wind out of their sails? Are they back down from cloud 9? Are they the 49ers we know and love, and Jimmy G's probably going to break his ankle next week?
Oh.
Yeesh.
Oh.
You know, the 49ers are an enigma to me because this season it's been a little bit of. I mean, Debo Samuel the last couple games, huge factor. I do think the wind's out of their sails because the first part of this season was like, oh, are we going to mix Trey Lance in a lot? How are we going to find ways to use him as like a gadget player to open things up for Garoppolo? And I honestly haven't felt the magic from this squad until I started seeing Debo Samuel going up there and making, doing some Cirque du Soleil stretches in the middle of the air to catch the ball and bringing it down somehow in triple coverage. So I'm a little bit worried for them. I'd like to see them be able to get back into using Kittle properly and all that sort of stuff. But it's one of those wait and see things for me. I think losing Samuel's real bad for him. I think real bad.
Fair enough. Moving on down the line, Dante Jackson hits the IR for the Carolina Panthers. There was no win to be taken out of the cells there in Charlotte. Really excited to be going to a game in a week and a half, let me tell you. I
won the bet.
That being said, I don't think this does much to the way that Carolina's playing. CJ Henderson, who they traded Dan Arnold for, from Jacksonville, is looking better and better every week. And Stephon Gilmore should be at full speed next week, so it's not like they're really losing a lot, especially since AJ Boye has been stepping up in that nickel package as well. So this kind of just gives Carolina a chance to rest Dante, but hey, he may have played his last game in Carolina, set to be a free agent after the end of the season, so it remains to be seen. And then Dalvin Cook going down with a shoulder injury. There's not a lot coming out of the Minnesota camp right now on Dalvin Cook. Is this going to be a season-ending injury? Is he out for a couple weeks? We don't know yet. But if you're Minnesota, you have to be thinking about what you're going to do because Dalvin Cook was the core of your offense. I don't even know. Anthony, what do you do? Do you just run with Madison and pray and hope that he's anything like Dalvin Cook?
Well, they're saying that they're not putting him on the IR.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like a 1 to 2 week thing. So maybe he'll come back then. But right now you got to run with Madison and see what happens. But yeah, they don't want to put him on the IR yet. They want to see if it can just heal and maybe they can put some protection around the shoulder. So because they're in a playoff run, so they don't want to lose him.
Yep. Exactly. All right, now we're making it to the top storylines of the week just now. We kind of fire through these. All right, so we talked about it a little bit. Cowboys without Mike McCarthy, so they're without their head coach moving into next week. Nate, Cowboys obviously probably going to lose.
Yeah, well, this is just what happens, man. You got Jerry Jones running your team. He's never wrong. So, and of course, it's nothing's his fault. You got to fire everybody and start over again. He just needs, he just needs to get someone that he can truly, really trust and believe in and have his faith in. I'm getting sick saying that.
Oh my gosh. So Anthony, I guess we can all agree that the Cowboys hype started a little too early this season.
I wasn't hype. I knew this was gonna happen. I mean, you ask a Cowboy fan, go ahead. I just think that they don't have a head coach. They have a body, and he has the title of it, but they don't have a motivator.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the motivator on their team. I'm really curious to see how it's gonna be this weekend with Dan Quinn coaching it.
No.
If he does a superb job, maybe he becomes the head coach.
Ooh.
But yeah, I feel for the Cowboys fans. They get hype every year.
Yeah.
Gotta be like a Dolphins fan. Just take the beating.
The Panthers fan.
Yeah. Or
Jets
a Jets fan. I mean, Nate, I really appreciate you. Because let's talk about that interception real quick with Zach Wilson.
Sure.
That man shoveled the ball off the shoulder of the running back, and the defender picked it off. That's talented.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens when you're trying to do too much. That's all. Ty was not he was not expecting to get the ball flipped his way. That's definitely for sure.
My goodness. Yeah. Hey, let's keep it in y'all's division. New England's averaging 35 points a game right now. I hate every bit of what I'm about to ask.
I hate Bill Belichick, and now I hate Mac Jones. I have to now.
Are the New England Patriots Super Bowl contenders right now?
Yeah, of course. I hate everything.
I really thought that once Tom Brady left, we would have
We'll never be free.
Yeah.
There is no freedom for us.
How do you make a rookie
who's playing better than them?
Rookie?
Who's playing better than them in the AFC?
You know what? I blame Buffalo. That's who I blame. I blame Buffalo. This is supposed to be the year that we can see somebody different. No, they want to play stupid. So now we get Belichick. He got this rookie quarterback that's the next Tom Brady, and now we're screwed for the next 15 years.
I want to say this because I disagree with y'all. I don't think that they are Super Bowl contenders. And here's what I got to say whenever it comes to Mac Jones is leading up to this season and this draft, every single person that you talk to that knows their weight in football was saying Mac Jones is the most pro-ready quarterback in the NFL. Mac Jones is what you see is what you get. You're getting exactly what you've seen in his college career. If you're asking me, that's not the quarterback that I want to draft.
No, of course not. That's why he went as far as he did.
Because
that doesn't change the truth.
No, I think of all the quarterbacks that were drafted this year in the first round, Mac Jones has got the lowest ceiling. I think Trey Lance ends up being a better quarterback than Mac Jones does. Trevor, please hold. Please hold. Okay. I think Justin Fields is probably going to be a better quarterback than Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones has such a low ceiling. He's an Alex Smith. Let's talk. I mean, I'm being serious.
You're not wrong. The problem is the rest of the AFC East is still enough of a dumpster fire that these guys are going to be. These guys are cleaning house. Okay, Zach Wilson's flipping the ball off Ty Johnson's back. The Dolphins, well, I mean, they're in Florida. That's just how it is. And then the Bills have decided for some reason that they're too good. They're too cool to win games of football. So even with a top-rated defense,
but I want to get back to this.
Completely bungle it.
I want to get back to this. Everyone's talking about Mac Jones and how about Mac Jones is this, Mac Jones is that, and I think if you're asking me, Mac Jones is not who I want my team to draft. Mac Jones is going to be good for 2 to 3 years, and then everyone knows what you get out of him. That's not why you draft. That's not why you draft a quarterback in the first round.
Belichick's only doing this so he just needs to beat Brady once. That's all he needs to do. He needs to avenge him. This is personal. It's personal now. He's not thinking about 5 years from now.
Y'all really thought that Belichick didn't do this? It was Brady? No, Belichick is a mastermind. I hate him, just like I hate Brady. But Belichick is the reason why they're 8-4.
I disagree with all this because I think in 2 to 3 years, Mac Jones becomes Mac Jones because Belichick's going to do Belichick things and not sign a receiver. And Mac Jones
win a Super Bowl?
No. Eventually, one of you guys are going to beat them. I know you've been downtrodden for 20 years.
Really? Have you seen
Zach Wilson? Okay, listen. But what I'm saying is that Mac Jones is not going to be that great of a quarterback long term. He has a low ceiling. That's all I'm saying. He's not what I want drafted to my team if I'm looking at the first-round draft picks.
No, he's not flashy. He's not crazy. But he's winning games. They're not losing with him.
He's winning. As a rookie, you're not supposed to be so calm and collected that you can be first in the AFC.
But that's what they were saying all along, is that Mac Jones was the most pro-ready and the most psychologically ready to be under center for a team. That's not going to... That doesn't...
Yeah,
but that's the thing, though. Right now. In that pocket of weakness lays opportunity because he doesn't have to worry. He clearly doesn't have the nerves. He clearly has enough talent around him to be able to win games playing ball. So all that means is he can already get to the part where he's focusing on growing beyond what he currently is. And he's still just in his first year. That progression is what we look for, from most rookies going into their second year. But if Mac Jones is already able to play like this, then I mean, it's not like he's 35 and there's no time for him to try and work on being able to bomb it out and become a little bit more.
Chad thinks at 32 years old you're over the hill in the NFL.
Yeah,
quarterback. So
I'm more than Russ can stay out there on the field with Jamal. Please. I'm looking forward to a high pick.
Yeah.
Now, question: are you turning into a Matt Jones hater? Like, are
No,
you?
no,
Are we
He's a
moving?
Patriots hater like all of us.
no, because I think
That's
Bill
just
Belichick's going to win Coach of the Year, rightfully so. Who else is
no
going to win it
doubt.
right now?
The Packers. Matt
Nah.
LaFleur.
No, Aaron Rodgers is going to. If anyone, Aaron Rodgers is going to win Coach of the Year in Green Bay.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But listen, I'm not a Mac Jones hater. I'm not sold on him long term.
Okay.
I'm not sold on Mac Jones long term.
That's a bold take to say when he is balling right now.
He's not balling though. He's not though. Let's look at the stats. He's throwing for 200 yards a game. He's managing. He's doing Alex Smith dink and dunks.
All right. First of all, why do you hate on the 200 yards? Let's go back to Jameis. When Jameis was doing that early in the season, what is your issue with quarterbacks not throwing 400? This is not.
Listen, the last time a quarterback like that won a Super Bowl was Trent Dilfer.
Oh, okay.
22 years ago.
He had the nastiest defense.
Exactly.
No.
The Patriots don't have the nastiest defense alive. The Saints sure as hell didn't have the nastiest defense alive.
Yeah, Jameis, so you don't need a nasty
Listen,
defense.
Alex Smith, for all he did in his career and how good he was and how well respected he was a game manager that averaged 200 to 250 yards a game and couldn't do much more, right? Like, so I'm sorry, I'm not sold on Mac Jones as a long-term Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Just to be clear, it's not that Anthony and I strongly disagree with you on this. It's that you are underestimating the size of the steamroller that's about to run over our division for 10 years. You see, we hope beyond all hope that you are right. In fact, I'd love for him to just start sucking now. But the fear that he could play like this and keep them above 500 for his whole career is terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. It's your worst nightmare if you're an AFC East fan.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the NFC South. Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints still up in the air at who's starting at quarterback against Dallas. And I'm wondering if this ties into Taysom Hill's new contract where he gets paid more if he's a quarterback. But I mean, if you're the Saints at this point, Trevor Siemian obviously not the answer. Alvin Kamara might not be there. Anthony, tell me I'm not crazy for saying that Taysom Hill gives you the best chance to win against Dallas.
No, you're not crazy. It's sad. Like they really miss Jameis, and it shows the value of Jameis Winston when you see this right now. Like, because Taysom Hill could have did this earlier in the year, but Jameis outdid him. And then they went to Trevor Siemian. That's the first issue. When you didn't go to Taysom Hill right after Jameis got hurt and you went to Trevor Siemian, you know there was a problem with it. He's not – it's going to be a waste of money. Hopefully they can get out of that contract in 2 years. I don't see what everybody else sees in Taysom Hill. I don't. The way you feel about Mac Jones is the way I feel about Taysom Hill. I don't. I think he's just a tight end who got lucky on some passes, and there you go.
Mm-hmm. All right. What do you think, Nate? Are you picking Taysom Hill or Trevor Siemian?
Honestly, I do like Taysom Hill. My only memory of Simeon is when he went in when Darnold got hurt and immediately tore his Achilles or whatever, and then we were to third string and we had like Luke Falk or something. Mm-hmm. So I can't get over that. You know, that one I'm gonna have to work through with my therapist in 10 years. But no, I'm not on the Simeon train.
So I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't until just this very moment that I knew that Trevor Siemian played for the Jets.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I really didn't know that.
He also played for the Vikings.
He played one down against the Broncos and instantly was done.
I always get him and who was the other guy in Denver that played at Memphis that he was
Drew Lock?
Yeah. No, was it Drew Lock? Yeah. Played at Memphis, right?
I think Trevor Siemian.
No, Drew Lock played at Missouri. There you go. It starts with an M.
Yeah.
Starts with an M. Anywho. All right, Saints. I mean, I listen, I've been, even though I hate the Saints because I'm a Panthers fan and we're raised to hate the Saints. Also, I hate the Saints because I'm from Southeast Texas. And everybody was a Texans fan growing up until the Saints got good. And then all of a sudden they were Saints fans. So, but yeah, I want to see Taysom Hill do good. And that's a cool little story. The guy's a little bit older than everybody else, but also like, go out there and prove something. Go make your money, homie. All right, moving down the line, the Jets currently have 2 top 5 picks. Nate's hinted at this. As Seattle slide, Jamal Adams pays dividends. Nate, how good does it feel to know that you could potentially shore up your left and right side of the offensive line with a singular draft?
Feels really good, man. Like I think especially draft wise, your worries were defense after this season. I think Elijah Vera Tucker, he's been fantastic. That guard we traded for off the Chiefs, he looks good. O-line stuff's got me really happy. This, especially, like if we get the opportunity to trade up for some of these other teams that have a couple higher, more mid-round first round picks rather, then yeah, no, I'm obviously really excited about this. Just a huge shout out to the guy that just only knows how to blitz and apparently doesn't actually really like trying to make tackles, for helping to make sure that pick is as good as it could possibly be. Yeah,
good to hear.
He was incredible. It's wild. Would not have guessed it that both of them end up this. I guess you assume that our own team would probably still be a top 10 pick, but having a second top 10 pick is magical.
It's insane. I'm excited to see what happens there. But coming down the line, we are an NFL podcast, but the entirety of college football imploded this weekend with some crazy hires, with Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma to head to USC, Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame to go to LSU, Sonny Cumbie leaving the OC spot at Texas Tech to head to Louisiana Tech. A slew of other hires happening across college football. With that being said, does look like colleges are pursuing a couple NFL head coaches. Looks like Oklahoma's targeting Cliff Kingsbury, and Notre Dame is going to be targeting Urban Meyer. I mean, let's be honest here. Cliff's in too good of a spot to leave, right, Anthony? He's not leaving. Yeah. He's not leaving Arizona, right?
No, he has the system around him, the system that he wanted. He got everything he needs. I don't see him leaving more than I see Urban Meyer leaving. But Cliff he's good, and he got his weapon. How you gonna leave that high power offense? What? No. Yeah.
I mean, especially when you think about the fact that since Lincoln Riley announced that he's going to USC, Spencer Rattler has entered the transfer portal, so we're going to get another year of Spencer Rattler potentially build his name back up to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft in 2023, what it's looking like. But also they've lost a slew of 5-star commits from California, where Lincoln Riley had been pressuring a lot of his recruitment efforts at. Surprise, surprise that he goes to California school after doing all that work in California with recruiting. Surprise, surprise. But Nate, what about Urban Meyer? What are the chances he bolts on the Jags and goes to Notre Dame?
Oh goodness, I don't know. I don't know, man. When we talked about this, like the first couple of weeks, I definitely felt it. Enough other terrible things ended up happening that nobody's talking about him anymore. So maybe he feels like he squeezes in for another year. I don't really know. But yeah, I agree. No, Moss fan in chat knows what's up. Exactly. I see Urban Meyer probably dipping next year. Not until some point after next season has started.
Like week 5, he'll leave out of nowhere.
Yeah. When they're 0-5, he's just gonna be like, "Hi, I'm heading out."
Y'all take care, everybody.
Y'all take care. I think it's just wild. Like, you're looking at two coaches in Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley that have potential college football playoff teams. Potential. There's still an in for both of them. And they both just said, I'm out. Like going into that. Meanwhile, Sonny Cumbie, not as big of a hire. He's going to Louisiana Tech from Texas Tech, right? He's the interim head coach since they fired David Wells midseason. Brought him to a bowl game, just came to the players today and was like, by the way, I'm coming back December 13th through the bowl game to lead you guys through that game. So I think it's a tale of a couple different coaches and mindsets there. But college football definitely, I think this impacts the way that the NFL is going to look in the draft next year too, right?
Yeah. It's so interesting how all this happened off of, I say USC, needing a coach, and then just like the dominoes fall. The draft is going to be very interesting. I don't think this is a very strong draft, so I don't know. I gotta do more research on these college kids, but I don't think this is a strong draft at all.
No, I mean, especially since Spencer Rattler got benched, and he fell out of that. Oh, he's the sure shot number one for whoever needs a quarterback. It's all kind of falling apart. It does look to be good on the offensive line, but we're going to get into that a little bit later on in the year and in the season once we start doing a little bit of NFL draft prep before, I assume what we'll probably do is take a break after the Super Bowl and then get ready for the draft for a special edition lead up to that. But anywho, that knocks out the top storylines of the day. We already talked about Mac Jones in the rookie recap. I'm not talking about it anymore. I hate him. No, I don't hate him. I don't hate him. I think he's overrated. I do. I think he's getting a little bit too much credit for what's happening in New England. You can say all you want. Look at that run game and that defense. That's been, yes, he's been accurate, but it's hard to not be accurate when you're throwing 5-yard passes 20 times a game.
Hate him. Hater.
I hate him. I hate him too. The problem is my quarterback can't make a 5-yard pass. He can't make a 3-yard flip. So if the bar is that low, I guess I'm underwater.
I think Mac Jones has a bright future with Belichick and the Patriots because he's learning from day one how to be a professional, how to beat the Dolphins and the Jets over and over again. Even though we did beat them this year, but I just think he's the real deal. This man is the next Brady.
I disagree with the next Brady statement, but we'll see. I mean, do either of y'all ever go back and watch whenever he was drafted and just look how he looks like a high school principal walking to get his cap from Roger Goodell?
Oh yeah, no, that's beautiful.
He's fantastic. That's why I know he's MVP.
But speaking of a player that I love, Micah Parsons. 10 quarterback pressures in one game on Thanksgiving. He made Derek Carr his bitch. Micah Parsons with a 92.6 pass rushing grade, which, I mean, let's just be honest. Regardless if he's a rookie, he's a top 5 pass rusher in the game right now.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. I mean, I know we've talked about him a couple times this season, but I've only got praise. Yeah, the crazy thing is when you're this good, it's like people could be like, oh well, he had this or gave up that, but I don't care about that. The fact that he's producing it all as a rookie is incredible. The fact that he's producing this much is amazing.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think if you're Dallas, you build your team around him and Diggs, and that you have a defense, that you can build the entire team around now. And that'll impact your offense, right? If you good defense makes your offense better. So I'm excited to see what Micah Parsons does moving on. But I asked Anthony earlier this week. I said, Anthony, is it too early for us to start talking about the hot seat? I knew this was a segment we were going to eventually have on the regular season. And Anthony said, nope, it's time. So let's talk about the hot seat. It's where coaches are potentially going to get fired. And we're starting with Matt Rule. And not just because I'm a Panthers fan and I'm bitter about Sunday, but because legitimately Matt Rule is on the hot seat. Gentlemen, how likely is it that Matt Rule holds on to his job at the end of the season, if he's even retained through the end of the season?
Well, my impression, my impression based on the only Carolina Panthers fans that I know is that they all want him gone. So I take that sentiment. I don't know what you expect somebody else to do, even if you did change coaches, though. Like, you can't get back some of the picks for the draft. There's not a quarterback you're looking at next season to grab either. So are you just going to bring in some other coach in an impossible situation and make him look terrible next year? Or do you at least give Rule another shot with the mess that he has until another quarterback prospect is on the table? That's the question I have.
I think the big thing here with Matt Rule and co, because it's not just him, is that on Sunday against Miami, it looked like Miami watched the tape on Carolina, and it does not look like Carolina watched the tape on Miami. It looked like Carolina was out-coached. I think a better coach could come in and do better things with the talent that's in Charlotte. I honestly do. Like I said, some of the decisions that have been made when it comes to the offensive line. You have Brady Christensen. Yeah, he's a rookie, but he was the top-rated, he was like the top-rated left tackle down a stretch of games. I mean, he made sure that Zach Wilson got drafted that early. Your left tackle can do wonders for your quarterback, and the fact that he was the number one left tackle in a game, and the next game he was playing left guard. It doesn't make any sense. Like, these are fundamental coaching decisions that I'm just starting to question when it comes to Carolina. And if you ask me, I think Dave Tepper at this point is kind of over Matt Rule's, well, we'll get him next time, or blame it on insert player here instead of taking responsibility himself. And I think Matt Rule, unless somehow without Chris McCaffrey and Dante Jackson, this team turns around, Matt Rule or his coordinators are gone at the end of the season. I just don't see any place for it. But speaking of another team that's struggling, Houston Texans, David Culley. Now, we already knew that this was going to be a tough job, given the fact that Bill O'Brien basically took this team and wiped his ass with them for 6 years, or however long he was there, and basically traded away every asset that this team has, and you were looking to rebuild in some form or fashion. Anthony, what's the likelihood that David Culley's actually in any trouble in his first season?
No, I think obviously you can kind of fix your rebuild that Bill O'Brien messed up, and you trade Deshaun Watson and try to get as much as you can, and then just draft crazy. This is not David's fault. I will just let him have a recruiting class per se come in and see what he can do. Give him another year or two before we put him on the hot seat.
All right. And then moving down the line to a gentleman we've been talking about all season, old Urban Meyer. Nate, we'll start with you. What's the outlook on Urban Meyer's tenure with the Jaguars? How much longer is he going to be there?
I mean, like we were just saying, I still think it's maybe in the next season. It really depends, because can he be quiet? Can he keep people from talking about him? I don't know. Can he do the things that he has to do as a coach and as a person? I'm not so certain. I feel like there's a lot of other crazy things that could happen between like this offseason. I'm just gonna say I think it's gonna be crazy. I think we're gonna see all sorts of insane stuff. It's gonna escalate from last year going into the 2022 offseason. So is Urban Meyer get caught up in that? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm going to stick with probably halfway-ish through next season. If they've got a couple wins, then sure, they'll burn that candle as long as they can. At this point, I feel like it's going to end up being more dependent on his ego, how he feels. If the team is losing a lot, then I don't see him lasting very long.
All right, you heard it here first. Heard it here first. Hot takes. No, the hot seat. I expect Matt Rule and Urban Meyer to probably be gone. I don't agree with the Matt Rule's going to be going through the middle of next season. I think they make a decision on Matt Rule this offseason or next offseason. I don't think there's a middle of the season firing when it comes to Matt Rule. He's either getting the chance to right the ship for a full season or he's gone. All right, week 13. It's upon us. It starts on Thursday. Let's talk about it. Let's look ahead. We already talked about New England, so we're skipping this. New England, yes, New England's retaking y'all's division. It's theirs now. It's theirs
I'm gonna
now.
cry.
Oh man, here we go.
You had one season. Cowboys versus Saints. Both teams looking to get their ship and their train back on track. Anthony, who's going to take this game and why? Who do you think?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna go with the Saints. I'm gonna go with the Saints. I think the Cowboys is they're in trouble. I don't know if they can bounce back from what's been happening. I'm just gonna go with the Saints. It's not an ugly matchup. It's an ugly matchup. I think it's gonna be a 9-6 ball game.
Wow.
I don't know. I didn't want to do that.
What about you, Nate?
I think this turns into a really messy game. I think maybe Hill ends up making like a cool play or two, but he's gonna come in and he's definitely not gonna look great in this game, especially with like Micah and whatnot. So I'm expecting this one to be really sloppy, really messy. But I think the Cowboys are gonna come out on top of this mud wrestling fight.
Mud
Yeah,
wrestling
there you go.
fight.
I think it'll be
Mud
close. I think it'll be a
wrestling
close.
fight.
It should be a close, low-scoring game.
I mean, I do just want to say that Taysom Hill is a large man, so it's gonna be interesting to see everyone try and take him down if he's in there.
I love it. I love watching him play.
Yeah, I do too. I don't want the Saints to win because then that diminishes the Carolina Panthers playoffs hopes. But at the end of the day, I think if the Saints start Taysom Hill, I think they win it, and I think it's handily. I think it's like 21-9, 21-10. So we'll see. Now, I kind of have this as my game of the week, the one we're going to talk about. It's not flashy. It's not two flashy teams, but it's two teams that got a little bit of momentum moving forward. You got the Raiders versus the Washington football team. Now, the Raiders coming off a win on Thanksgiving against the Dallas Cowboys. Say what you will, but with a Raiders team that's dealing with what they're dealing with, that's the momentum you needed to move forward. Everything that's happened with their teammates and their coach, maybe this is what they need to kind of push forward. The Washington football team kind of here on a hot streak, beating some of the better teams in the NFL. Nate, we're going to start with you. What does it take for Washington to maintain their momentum over the Raiders?
Two teams in my mind that I see, like, again, everybody sleeps on them. Obviously, the Raiders have had bad news, but they're still generally not a team that, at least for their performance, gets talked about a lot outside of the, I guess, superstar type stuff that ended up happening. But that's all kind of gone. So I like the Raiders in this matchup. I think Taylor Heineke is great. I think he's weirdly great for this weird situation that the Washington football team is in. But I don't think that they're going to overcome the equally milquetoast Derek Carr. I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders, maybe like 24-17 or something like that.
Okay. What about you, Anthony?
I think Washington has the perfect formula going forward. Defense and running. That will take the pressure off of Taylor Heineke. I got Washington winning this football game 21-7.
All right. Ooh. Yeah. I think this is where we start to see Ron Rivera's stylistic defense of the latter half of the season start to appear. Even with, a lot of Washington's front seven being out and being hurt. You hate to see that with Chase Young being down. But I think Washington's got what it takes to make a late run, and their wins lately have been, if not flashy, have still been emphatic and have still had kind of been putting their stamp on it. So I think Washington takes this 21-7. I think their defense is just too much for the Raiders that is pieced together with hopes and dreams and John Gruden's lawsuit to overcome. So. But with that being said, that's the end of our week 13 look ahead. I did want to say, thoughts and prayers and good vibes to Otis Anderson Jr.'s family. I don't know if you guys saw that. Former UCF and LA Rams running back was killed in a shooting at the age of 23. So if you pray, say a prayer. If you got vibes to send them his way. You hate to see it, especially for a player that was so well regarded and well liked among his peers. And with that being said, that's the end of the regular season, week 12. I think week 12, episode 12. Was that episode 12? I don't know. I've lost count. It was easy to keep count when the Panthers were undefeated because I knew we were on week 3.
You can keep count because Spotify will gladly tell you. I'm really excited. I'm sorry. I'm over the moon. I told my mama. Told everybody.
Love it. You love to see it. We're on Spotify if you didn't know. If you're in chat, I think you can do ! Podcast. And we're the last one listed. Click the last link you see. And that's us. We're like the redheaded stepchildren of Rare Drop. I love it. But I appreciate you. If you are listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, come by the stream. We're live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/rdsports. Follow the Twitter over at twitch.tv or twitter.com/Rare Drop Sports, and then you can follow all three of us following the links down below. We'd love to see you. If not, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.